the Pacific. It's a few minutes, just a few minutes until midday here in Bangkok. We'll be starting about at midday, and we've just got some music on the background so that you can test your speakers, and our presenters are ready when we catch on. So I'll speak to you again in a few minutes. Thank you very much.
Hi, Niels. We can see you. Do you want to just quickly test your sound, Niels?
Yeah, can you hear me? Is that okay?
You're a little bit far away.
I'm a little bit far away. What can we do about that?
Maybe it's okay when the music is off.
I'll turn it off. Here you go.
Let's just double check. Can we try again, Niels?
Yes, can you hear me better now?
You're quite far away.
Yeah.
That's strange.
Now it's better.
Now it's better. Okay, I have to have my mic close to my mouth. That's no problem.
Okay.
Great. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Niels. In the MS Teams as well, Niels, it's Gemma here. About the fifth icon along is three little dot. Yeah. And if you click on that dot at the very top, there's one that says show device settings.
Yeah.
And if you click on that, on the right hand side, it comes up with audio device, speaker and microphone. And just check you've got your right microphone on. That sometimes helps too, but I assume because we can hear you, it's just a bit.
Yeah.
Because you're all the way in Denmark, you're so far away.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is.
You might also want to just adjust your camera because we can see your glasses and above, and that's much nicer. Much nicer. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, that's wonderful. And you may be able to see on the screen on the top left-hand side of my screen, we have Ms. Wang from the NBS China regional hub for big data. Mm-hmm. And on the bottom right-hand side of my screen, we have Mr. Ali Park Ali Said from BPS Indonesia, the statistics office in Indonesia. Mm. And Tanya on the left.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Good.
Wonderful, and so far we have about 90 people attending, and you're in the presenter list, so we should be fine for connecting your slides if you have slides. Well, I'm around midday, so I'm thinking we start. Tanya, everybody, does that sound good with you? Yep. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for coming to today's Asia Pacific Stats Cafe. Today's topic is on the top of use of big data for official statistics, and it's a real pleasure to have our speakers with you. My name is Gemma van Hardren. I'm the Director of the Statistics Division at UN ESCAP, and we're holding these events today in preparation for our upcoming Committee on Statistics, which is our main intergovernmental body in Asia and the Pacific, where we deliberate on issues of regional importance for the statistical community. And our Bureau of the Committee on Statistics identified 3 themes that they would really like to discuss at the forthcoming Committee on Statistics. The first topic was around accounts, satellite accounts, environmental accounts, national accounts, all types of accounts for the production of statistics. The second theme was around human resource management and strengthening statistical institutions. And today's theme is a very exciting one. I'm very excited on big data for official statistics. It's a real pleasure to have three excellent speakers with us today. Niels Plough, who's the chair of the Global Working Group on Official Statistics and the director of the Social Statistics team and part of the executive board of the Danish Statistics Office. Ms. Wenna Wang from the UN Global Platform Regional Hub based in China, part of the NBS China team. And Mr. Ali Saad from BPS Indonesia, who's also joining us today. We're going to hold today's session in two parts. First of all, we're going to ask each of our speakers to give us a presentation and an opportunity to answer a few questions from you. We'll then have a much longer discussion at the end of all three speakers, and we've allowed 40 minutes today for the discussion. We've received a few questions in advance, but we also encourage you all to please use the chat box, and both Tanya and myself will be moderating that, keeping an eye on that, and we'll be addressing our questions to our three panelists. So without further, and can I also remind you that to please keep your microphones on mute. If your internet connection is not great, we recommend you turn your video off. That improves the bandwidth. And my team will also be keeping an eye on mutes and putting people on mute if you're not there, so that we really hear directly from our speakers. So without, and the meeting will also be recorded and the presentations will be available afterwards. So on that note, it's a real pleasure to invite Niels to talk with us today, all the way from Denmark. Thank you for getting up probably very early in the morning, Niels.
No, it's not that early, but thank you for having me.
Yes. And it's a real pleasure to have Niels is in a really important role, the chair of the Global Working Group on Big Data for Official Statistics. So over to you. Thank you, Niels.
Thank you very much. And I'll see if I can manage to share my screen. Can you see my?
Not just yet.
Not just yet. Like that. Can you see it now?
No.
No.
It might just be a bit of a delay, but no, nothing's coming up. Normally it goes blank.
Wait a minute. We had the same kind of problem when we tried it out.
If we have a copy of your presentation, we could try here, Niels.
You have.
We do have a copy, but I think something is happening now, so.
Okay, we can see a Gmail.
You can see a Gmail.
That's not my screen.
That's not yours?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Would you like us to try and put it up, Niels?
Hello.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Tanya, you've got it ready?
Yeah, 1 sec.
And just say next, Niels, and we'll just move the slide and you'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Tanya, we can just see your screen of the three PowerPoints.
And now you can see his presentation?
We can see your screen.
We can see your screen, Tanya.
Yeah, and on my screen is Niels's presentation. Can you see that?
No, we can see your folders.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
And wait 1 second.
Okay.
Is that the right one now?
That's the right
That's the one. Wonderful.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, so Niels, there will be a small delay. So when you ask me to change, it will take a few seconds before it changes from your view.
Okay, thank you.
Just letting you know.
So let me start. I'm going to do a presentation on the UN Global Working Group on Big Data for Official Statistics. And if you change the slide. Now, the Global Working Group were created in 2014 in order to deal with both the challenges and the opportunities given by the new data sources that were kind of emerging at that time, digitalized data to be used for official statistics, and to get some experience in using those data sources and working together in the UN community of official statistics. So one of the first things that we did was to create an inventory of examples of official statistics that were created and produced based on new data sources. So we basically asked all the national statistical agencies worldwide to come up with good examples of things that they have been doing using those new kind of data sources. And we got actually a lot of response to that. And I will return to that. You will be able to find the inventory on the webpage of the Global Working Group. Then we organized the first one in China, and in a few weeks' time, the sixth one of the yearly conference on the working group on big data for official statistics. The conference is where everybody comes together, where we have presentations of developments in the use of big data for official statistics, discussions and exchange of good practices and ways of working. And we do also have workshops in relation to the conferences. We did start up a lot of private sector collaboration. We had good dialogue with data providers. That's kind of the new thing with the new data, is that the data sources are not created and owned by the national statistical agencies. They are owned by private sector companies. They are actually also different from another data source that is used in the production of official statistics, namely admin data. But admin data is normally owned by the government, but the big data, they are produced and owned by private companies. So we do need to have a dialogue with those private companies, and we started that up with Google and with Microsoft and with a lot of others. Then we eventually created the global platform, and I will also return to that. But the global platform is kind of the place out there in cyberspace where you can get access to a lot of the things that we have been developing in the last few years. We did create a number of data collaboratives around data sources, specific data sources like mobile phone data or Earth observation data. We emphasized in all the dialogues that we had, both with the private sector and with others, that what we wanted to create was trusted data. That's the trademark of official statistics, is data that is well organized and well documented, and you can trust them, and you can have there's transparency, and you can have a look into the documentation of the data. And in doing that, we are trying to work together and work together. And you could show the next slide. We organized around a number of task teams. Task teams are open for everybody who wants to participate. So this should also be an encouragement, hopefully, for you also to maybe join one of the task teams. The first one listed here is the one on access and partnership, because, as I said, we need to get access to the data. We don't have, only in a few countries there's a legal right to that. So we need to work very much with that, also with the data producers, the private companies. We have a task team on big data and the SDGs that are focusing on how we can use new data sources to cover the global indicators of the SDGs. We have a task team on mobile phone data, which is working very much on mobility data, internal mobility within countries, but also cross-border mobility. There's a task team on satellite imagery and geospatial data. One of the things that they're focusing on very much is agricultural statistics, doing agricultural statistics based on information from satellites. We have a scanner data task team that are working on the price indexes using information directly from the supermarkets and other retailers to get the data directly instead of collecting them themselves. There has been some work on social media data that was very hyped in the beginning, the data from Twitter and Facebook, which is very often the kind of data sources that are mentioned by others when we are talking about big data. I guess one could say that they might not be the most useful data source for the production of official statistics. Then we have a task team on training skills and capacity building, which is a very important thing for us to be able to organize capacity building and skills development in NSOs worldwide. And we have the global platform, which I mentioned before. And here is a link to what is called the marketplace.officialstatistics.org. And if you haven't visited that, I would very, very much encourage you to do that. You can find a lot of information on what we're doing on that web page. Next slide, please. The task teams are developing handbooks for others to use in order to dig into the use of those new data sources. They are organizing training activities. We have had workshops in relation to the last two conferences that we have had, the one in Bogota in Colombia and the one in Kigali in Rwanda. The next one will be an online conference, so there will be no workshops this time, but maybe next time there will be. It's very important for us that we are trying to integrate the task team activities into what you can find in the UN Global Platform. Next slide, please. The next step is the creation of the regional hubs. So we had the global working group, we created the task teams, and now we are working to find a way to create regional hubs that can have some kind of outreach in specific regions in order to further the use of those new data sources. So you will hear in this seminar about the regional hub in China. We are working on creating one in Rwanda and Africa, in the UAE in the Middle East, and in Brazil in South America. And the point that the hub should be the hub in a hub and spoke model, so that we have like regional centers that can make outreach to countries in that specific region. That is where everything comes together at the regional level. Next slide, please. I'm just waiting for the next slide. Yeah, this is just a long list of what we have been doing. And as you can see in the gray, we have been organizing a conference every year since the creation of the Global Working Group. And we did have some of the last things that we have done are side events at the Statistical Commission. We are hosting the 6th Global International Conference, which will be an online conference starting 31st of August and running into the 2nd of September. And you will be able to find the program on the webpage of the Global Working Group. And I think the next slide is also the last slide, and that is, yeah, exactly. Go to the statsun.org and find the Big Data Working Group, or Google Global Working Group for Big Data for Official Statistics. It seems that we're the only one out there, so you will get directly into the web pages you need to get into to get more information about what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Niels, and that's a really great overview to the region of the. This is a really important working group of the global statistical community. I really would encourage everybody, if you are interested in big data for official statistics, have a look at the work of the Global Working Group and at all of the task teams that Neil's just outlined there. So if you have a particular interest in scanner data for prices or satellite data for agricultural statistics, the website, the link that Neil's just shared with you there, it's rich, very rich information available and a lot of country experiences. Niels, we just have a couple more minutes and I don't see any questions so far, but one question we have received in advance of today is a question around access to data. And I see there that you referred to the global marketplace that has been established for official statistics. Could I just ask you to elaborate a little bit more on the global marketplace, Niels?
Yes, the global marketplace is a place where you can find some of the data sources that we already have access to. I actually forgot to mention, there's also a task team on the AIS data, which is the data on ship positioning. And those data are actually freely available. Through the global marketplace, you will also be able to find some kind of Earth observation data from satellites that you can use. Now, if you want to kind of get some experience in working with them, you can use the one that is on the global marketplace. If you want to get into more detail in your own country, you might have to change to a data source that you have to pay for to get access to. But there are different data sources there that you can actually try. There's the ship positioning, there's something about flights, and there's Earth observation data there, and there might be a few others that I have forgotten, but there you can get some kind of experience of how to deal with the data, how to do the algorithms and stuff like that before you go into more kind of serious stuff in relation to the actual production of statistics based on those new data sources.
Wonderful, thanks, Neil. So the global marketplace, as Neil said, it's got access to some satellite data, some telecommunications data, some shipping data. It's a really good place to go and try some of this big data. Try it on some data sets that are available there before, as Neil said, before getting into directly the production of statistics. We just have one question from Anders Holmberg, the new chief methodologist at the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Anders, would you like to ask Niels a question there very briefly? Just take yourself off mute, Anders.
I can actually see Anders' question on the chat, so maybe I should just answer it.
Yeah. So Anders has asked a question around, is there a hub in the UK as well? Niels, back to you.
The plan was to have a hub in the UK. The plan was actually to have the kind of the core hub, the Global Platform Institute in the UK. But that plan has changed recently. The ONS has rearranged its priorities and are still a very important collaborator in relation to the Global Working Group. But at the moment, there are no actual plans to create a hub and the Global Platform Institute in the UK. We hope that we will be able to do that at a later stage.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thanks very much, Niels. So we'll invite Niels back in a minute after our next two speakers. So please, if you do have any questions, please do put them in the chat. But it's my great pleasure now to invite Ms. Wenna Wang from NBS China, who's leading the hub, as we just heard from Niels, the hub of the UN Global Platform Regional Hub in Asia Pacific. And as everybody, please do realise that we are in a very diverse environment in Asia and the Pacific. And we have Ms. Wang is from China, and she will have an interpreter with her. So please do bear us with us. Ms. Wang, over to you. Thank you. Thank you. We can see you.
Can you see the screen as well? The PowerPoint?
Yes, the screen, and
Yeah.
just put it on slideshow. Yes. Yes, that's wonderful. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Over to you.
可以开始好了，他没有，他那里看到放映。
Okay. Good morning, afternoon, evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wang Wenna from the NBS of China. I'm very glad to have this opportunity to introduce the situation of China Big Data Regional Hub of the United Nations Global Platform. I will call it Regional Hub in China for short.
Can you all see the slides?
Yes, we're on a slide that says construction background, main objectives of the big data work.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Next, I will make a comprehensive introduction to the regional hub in China from 5 aspects. First of all, take a look at the background. In today's era, global data shows explosive growth and massive agglomeration, and the era of big data has come. The era of big data has brought more opportunities for official statistics, more and more data sources, and higher data processing capacity bring infinite possibility to statistical works. NBS of China also attaches great importance to the application of big data in statistics. This is
There might be a little bit of a delay from you going to the next slide before it goes on the next slide for everyone.
The construction background. Can you see?
It's the page, right, okay.
Okay. NBS of China also attaches great importance to the application of big data in statistics. This is a speech of 2 bureau leaders of NBS. From speeches, we can feel the attitudes of the NBS of China towards big data. Since 2012, the NBS of China has been expanding and the application and the research of big data in statistics. This is the goal of big data work. At present, NBS of China has used many data sources, and big data has been integrated into many statistical businesses, such as agriculture, industry, population, CPI, PPI, etc. The NBS of China has also accumulated rich experience in the application of big data in official statistics. The NBS China also attaches great importance to the cooperation with international official statistics and has established a long-term cooperation mechanism with the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. I will call UN DASA for short. Especially in the use of big data for official statistics and the 2013 Sustainable Development Goals. In earlier 2019, in order to expand the work on the UNGP and promote the application of official statistics big data, the NBS and the UN DASA discussed to jointly build the regional hub in China of UNGP. In June 2019, the two sides signed a letter of intent. Let's take a look at the construction goal. With the goal of promoting the 2013 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The regional hub will provide service for the global statistical community to work together, build a modern statistical system, and enhance the governance capacity of the government. By sharing knowledge, data, and methods, the regional hub in China will build a globally recognized statistical big data application center. According to the sign letter of intent, the future work of the regional hub will focus on the following. First, technical assistance and capacity building. Second, build an interconnected and interactive global knowledge collaboration center for official statistics big data with the UNGP and other regional hubs. Third, build a technology and innovation hub.
Ms. Wang, we just let you know we have lost your slides. Your slides aren't showing on the screen anymore. Thank you. But please do keep going. We'll try and put them back up. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. The regional hub in China will jointly constructed by the NBS of China, the UN DASA, and the People's Government of Zhejiang Province. The regional hub will be composed of 3 organizations and personnel to work together. The 3 organizations are Big Data Application Center of NBS, UNGP China Big Data Organization Center, and Zhejiang Statistical Big Data Application Center. The NBS of China and the Zhejiang provincial government will work in the regional hub in China with 25 staff. At present, 7 staff are working. In the construction process, we will jointly promote the ability of official statistics to apply big data through knowledge fusion, data integration, and technology convergence. The regional hub in China focuses on the following aspects of work. China Regional Center Statistical Big Data Application Platform, Trustable Multi-Source Database Platform, Statistical Big Data Innovation Result Display and Sharing Platform, Statistical Big Data Talent Exchange Training, Examination, and Certification Platform. These functions will be open to the international and domestic statistical departments, experts, scholars, and credible enterprises, and domestic government agencies. A digital mobile collaboration office management platform for management, communication, and cooperation, targeting staff of the regional hub in China and of the UNGP, as well as various international and domestic users. Let's take a look at the technical route. The big data platform will adopt mature big data technology, such as large-scale cluster and descriptive database, to build a set of software platforms. It has the ability of statistical modeling, machine learning, AI, and other services. It will also provide users with R, Python, and other analysis tools. Let's review the construction process of the regional hub in China. It was sharply launched in the earlier 2019. In June 2019, a letter of intent was assigned to clarify the work orientation of the regional hub in China. In September 2019, the NBS of China and the People's Government of Zhejiang Province signed a cooperation agreement to clarify the cooperation content and the construction model. By the end of September 2019, the office completed the renovation. Also, affected by the COVID-19, the first staff was in place in May 2020. In July 2020, we completed the preparation of the Regional Hub System Technology Program, and now we are in the process of project approval. This is the office building. The office area is about 4,000 square meters. There are 16 staff offices, 2 expert offices, 5 meeting rooms, etc. At present, more than 800 square meters of working area is reserved, which can be used for the later business development. View the office area of Regional Hub in China by photo. This is the staff office. This is the expert office. The meeting room. The lecture hall. Break zone. The gym. The regional hub has entered the stage of daily business operation. The next stage mainly including 2 aspects of work. The first is to carry out big data application, research, and promotion in combination with the 5 construction contents of the regional hub. Second, recruitment, selection, and other ways adopted to supplement the staff of the regional hub and apply for the project funds through multiple channels, ensure the daily operation. I hope you will be able to work and exchange with the regional hub in China as experts in the future. The above is the overall situation of the regional hub in China. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wang, and thank you very much for sharing with us the developments on the regional hub in Asia and in China. It's really a very exciting development for Asia Pacific, as well as for the global working group. We have a question from. I'll just ask you one question. You mentioned NBS China has been using big data for several types of statistics, agricultural statistics, I think you mentioned prices statistics. And now one of the questions that's come in is what is the steps involved, and just very broadly, if you're using big data for official statistics, are the steps involved for producing official statistics similar to the production of official statistics? What are the steps, what are the differences between producing official statistics from traditional sources like census and surveys and from big data? What, in your view, would be the biggest difference between using big data and traditional data sources for official statistics? Thank you.
数据做这些统计，那么其中有哪些步骤？然后这些新型的用大数据统计和传统的统计它们之间是区别。然后什么是让这些就用大数据做这些统计更加的有效高效？
应该是农业跟价格这两方面。
不，他说这是你刚刚提到的，但就是就是现在
这样回答这个问题可能会时间比较长。
It may take a long time to answer this question.
首先我以农业为例，然后去说一下我们现在使用的一些怎么来使用遥感影像的。
First, I'll take the example of agricultural data, and I will be using like how we are using like video technology in this aspect.
在2016年，然后第3次全国农业普查的时候，我们就已经全面应用了这个遥感影像数据。遥感影像数据主要用于这个粮食种植面积的测量。这样我们这样我们在就是在那个数据采集的时候，用户就不用再填报这个他种植了多少面积了，而是通过遥感影像数据和无人机的数据来去得到的。
So, starting from 2016, in the third national statistical report in China, we have already been using this kind of satellite and video data to measure the space of agricultural and plant area and surfaces. By this way, there's no need to fill out questionnaires in the traditional way in order to get those sort of data.
那目前今年我们也在结合就是联合国这个大数据工作组的一个创新项目上，然后使用这个遥感影像和无人机来做这个粮食产量的测量。
So this year we have also been cooperating with UN Big Data Working Group on a creative project that uses drones and also video satellite data to measure the amount of production in the agricultural sector.
然后再以这个价格统计，我们是就是 CPI 的这个统计，然后我们使用了很多的第三方的数据源。
In the prices statistics and also in CPI statistics, we have been using a lot of third-party data.
然后比如说我们用医院的数据看大家就是在医疗方面的支出，我们用这个超市的这个扫描数据看一下他们日常的生活用品的支出。
So we have been using data from hospitals to assess people's medical expenditures, and we have also been using data from supermarkets to survey how much the consumption looks like.
然后再有就是我们还用了很多电商的数据，这个电商是用于这个贸易，就是应该算是贸易。
So we have also been using data from online platforms and online merchandises, such as Taobao, to investigate the commercial statistics in China.
我们使用了10几家大的这个电商数据来去这个做这个网上销售数量的这个一个指数的这个统计。
So we have used data from various online platforms to survey the online trading statistics in China. 以上是我举的几个例子。 Yeah, above are some of the examples that I've given.
关于这个新型和传统的这个问题，其实我觉得我们遇到的和大家遇到的很多困难其实是一样的，就是说数据源的来源的合法性。
So about this difference between the traditional source of statistics and the new creative, the big data side, the differences between the two. I feel that that the challenges are the same for us as for everybody else. It's about the legality, like whether these data sources are legal.
OK， 看看他们还有什么一些问题吗
？This is all I have for the moment, and if there are any more questions, I'm happy to answer.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. I was very impressed by the range of different sources that China's using there for the satellite data, drone data, the online sales data. And I think the big difference that you've raised there is the legality of the data. And I think we'll come back to this in our broader discussion. Thank you very much, Ms. Wang, for your answers there. Thank you very much. We'll now turn to Pak Ali Saad from the BPS Indonesia. Indonesia are very active in the use of big data as well, and it's my great pleasure to invite you now, Pak Saad, to share with us your experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gemma. I like to share the screen. Can you see?
Yes, your screen is coming up, and just put it in slideshow so that it's larger and everyone can read.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon and good morning to everyone. Before I start my presentation, I would like to let you know that today is the Independence Day of Indonesia. And thank you, Ms. Gemma and Tanya, for inviting BPS Indonesia in this special day to give a presentation at the Asia Pacific Series. And this is a great opportunity for SATSIC Indonesia to share what have been done and also learn from other countries' experience in utilizing big data. And right now, I would like to present some progress in big data use in BPS in some areas. First of all, I would like to highlight the legal aspect of big data use. The legal foundation of BPS in conducting statistical activities is the law number 16, 1997 on statistics. And it is interesting to know that when this law was formulated more than 20 years ago, the drafters of the law already anticipated what would happen in the future with regard to data collection or data sources. And big data as a product of development of science and technology is clearly accommodated in this law. And then in terms of e-commerce data access, there are already two main government regulations that have been enacted to regulate the e-commerce data access by Statistics Indonesia. And currently, SATSIC Indonesia is preparing a regulation to regulate the mechanism of data and information provision by e-commerce organizers. And BPS has also developed data architecture incorporating big data as one of the data sources in statistical activities in complement with other data sources like administrative data, census, survey, and other spatial data. This is a big data development roadmap for BPS, and we can see from this roadmap that in the first 5-year period from 2014 to 2019, we have done several activities in exploring big data sources, and this will be a good foundation for second phase of big data development during period 2020 to 2024, where we are trying to optimize the big data use for producing quality statistics and information, and also moving towards artificial intelligence development at the end of 2024. With regard to big data uses, there are four main areas where big data is utilized in BPS. The first, big data is used to produce complementary statistic supporting information for official statistics. The second, big data is used to produce official statistics. And the third, new statistics are expected to be produced from big data to respond real-time data needs. And the last, big data is also used to improve data frame that we have in BPS. These slides and the next following slides present some examples of big data uses. And the first is about intensifying the MPD use in BPS. MPD has been used for official statistics in producing international tourism statistics, especially to capture inbound tourism in cross-border areas. And the methodology has been improved very well, and the quality assurance framework has also been developed. And then the use of MPD to produce domestic tourism statistics is also on progress, and I hope it will be an official statistic soon. The next MPD is expected to replace conventional survey on commuters, which is conducted every 2 years. And in BPS, we also use MPD to delineate the metropolitan statistical area. Last year, the project was implemented in Bandung metropolitan area of West Java province, and the next project will be implemented in other areas. And the forthcoming research on MPD will be implemented on the other areas like unemployment statistics, social statistics, and transportation statistics, etc. BPS also produce several new statistics from big data to look at the impact of COVID-19. We are utilizing Google Mobility Index to look at changes in population mobility to assess the COVID impact. In this picture, for example, we can compare between people mobility at workplace and at residentials. During the pandemic, after the work from home policy was implemented, more people stayed at home, while people mobility at workplace reduced dramatically. Information on population mobility can also be used to look at the economic phenomena. These are pictures of population mobility by provinces, showing how population in each region responded to the pandemic. Darker color reflects more people there. From Google Mobility Index, we can also see people mobility at several places like retail and recreation, grocery, pharmacy, parks, and transit station. And we can see the pattern of this, the mobility in this place look similar. BPS also use data from flight tracker to look at changes in air transport activity during the pandemic. And this information can also be used to assess the economic impact of. Marketplace is also an important big data source. We are trying to maximize the marketplace data for several purposes. We have collected information on a number of aspects of marketplace data as complementary information for official statistics. And then to support unemployment figure, We utilize job sites to obtain information about the trend of job vacancies offered by companies. Not only the total job companies, but we also collected data on job vacancies by sector to look at the changes in each sector in terms of job vacancies. And this last example of the use of big data to improve data frame. In this project, we try to match data from web scraping with data frame available in BPS from census activities. In this case study, we can see that around 68% of data from web scraping and data frame from BPS match. There are also other ongoing big data research. We are intensifying marketplace data use and try to use it for calculating consumer price index. We are also conducting research on the use of Google Trend for predicting quarterly data of gross fixed capital formation and also unemployment rate. For conclusion, big data is promising, but of course we are facing some challenges to overcome in its utilization, such as sustainability of data source, completeness of data provided by data source, the issue of privacy, and other challenges that we may face. And this is the end of my presentation. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Sayad, and that was an excellent presentation, and congratulations on your Independence Day there in Indonesia, throughout Indonesia.
Thank you.
We have a couple of questions for you, and the first one is related to your big challenge that you just raised there around the sustainability of data source. And Niels, the chairman of the Global Working Group, has asked a question: how did the private data owners react to the fact that they now have to deliver their data to the production of official statistics?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yeah, actually, the regulation has already been enacted last year, but the mechanism haven't been regulated by our office. But when we produce statistics from the data, actually we don't clearly. I mean we don't put the data source in detail there, but we just put in aggregate figures obtained from the sources. So we don't at the moment we don't put the data source in like in more specific sources from the marketplace or e-commerce. Actually, we just present in aggregate.
So thank you. This is related to a second question, and if I can just clarify. So the second question was around the enactment. What regulation do you have available for access to the data? And if I from your presentation and what you've just said, a legal regulation was enacted last year in 2019. And I think on your second or third slide, you showed that you had listed different data sources: traditional, census, survey, but you also, your regulation, now also has scientific sources and other sources clearly spelt out.
Yeah.
And then it's been implemented this year by your office, but your recommendation was to not be specific about the types of data. Your legislation should be very enabling, very broad. So scientific data, and then the specific data sources you're accessing could be in aggregates. For instance, some of your business data you'd be accessing in aggregates, but for others you may get in unit record. Is anything else you'd like to add there?
Yes, you're right. Hello? Sorry? That's some,
Sorry, Mr. Saad. So I'll just ask you.
Yeah. Actually,
yeah, you go.
Yeah, I already catch your statement of your question that the law number 16 and 97 just provide a general what is how to regulate the data collection system in BPS. That's what I mentioned before. That's one of in one articles that the drafter of the laws already anticipated in the future what happened in the future. What means this? This is my translation maybe, or I'm not sure other interpreter maybe be different, but my interpretation to this law is that big data is one of the because of result of the product of science of technology. It could be part. I mean, it's already anticipated in this law in Indonesian statistical law. And for the regulation, actually, we just focus on the e-commerce actually, especially whether the e-commerce organizations in Indonesia or domestic e-commerce, or whether also, I mean, international e-commerce should provide or should report the data that they have to Statistic Indonesia. Is that in the regulation? But we need in BPS to, I mean, in the mechanism of the provision, we need to make some like regulation in an operational way actually.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I think this topic of regulation and legal access was one that we had a lot of questions for. We have several other questions, but I may now just hand back to all three panelists and invite Tanya to put. We've asked our three panelists to address a couple of questions, broad questions. Tanya, if you could please put the questions up, and while Tanya's doing that, I might ask Niels, one of the questions that's come from our chief statistician of Maldives is the availability of online training. And you mentioned online training in your introduction, Niels. Could you elaborate a bit more on online training availability, please?
Yeah, there are already some online training tools at the global marketplace that you can find there and use. Then this is actually one of the things that we are working heavily on in the global working group. We created the task team on training and capacity building last year, and they did a survey to all the NSOs in the UN statistical community, asked them about the kind of training that they were demanding, and also asked them to give priority to different kinds of training. Now, the basic thing is that the training demand is very much directed towards the use of specific data sources. And I think this is also reflected in some of the question that was given here to Mr. Said's very nice presentation. And there you can also find something on the web pages of the task teams. As I mentioned in my presentation, one of the things that the task teams are doing is that they are creating handbooks, which is also an input to training activities. And they are doing training courses in relation to the conferences. But if you are a national statistical organization and you want a training activity in relation to a specific data source, for instance, the scanner data, then please ask us if we will be able to provide that, because in the task teams we have a number of the very experienced people from the statistical community worldwide that are working with this, and they have so far been very active in setting up training courses in relation to the conferences. But we also done that in relation to regional conferences, and we will be happy to see if we can help out in relation to a specific statistical agency that wants some kind of a training activity. But again, go visit the marketplace, go visit the global platform and the specific descriptions at the Global Working Group's webpage in the areas that you have interest in. And then if you don't find what you're looking for, come back to us and we will see if we can do anything further to help you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Niels. So that was a very good response. Thank you. Can I just ask my colleagues now to move to the questions on the slide? I can. So we've asked our panelists to talk to us about their journey so far, and maybe we could invite Niels to start, and then ask China, and then Indonesia. And you don't have to address all three, but you feel free to give us some general comments there. Niels, would you like to share?
I'd be happy to. I like the concept of the big data journey because, as I said, we set up the Global Working Group in 2014. And some might be able to remember that at that time, there was a lot of discussion about the new data sources as not only an opportunity, but also a challenge to official statistics. There was a report to the Secretary General of the UN called The World That Counts. And that report was pointing to the fact that those new data sources could become a challenge to official statistics because other data producers would be able to give indicators of, for instance, GDP growth or other parts of what we are doing as official statistics. It turned out now, 6 years later, that that has not happened. So the threat, I guess, is not there, but the challenge is still there. And I think that we as a statistical community has met that challenge in a very good way. I think the presentations we have had today from China and Indonesia shows very well what we are able to do and have been able to do in actually a few years' time. So the change in the production system of statistical agencies has, I think, been quite impressive. We are certainly not there yet. We have a lot to learn on how to use those data sources, but the kind of approach to it has been, I think, very innovative in the NSOs. I still think that one of the biggest challenges is getting access to the data. And I like very much Mr. Said's answer to my question about the reaction from the data owners, because I think we as statistical producers are used to have access to the microdata, and we might get used now to get access to aggregate data from private data producers. But I think we can do a lot of very important statistics also based on aggregate data. So that's kind of a new insight, that we don't ask for the microdata, we ask for sensible aggregates of the data that those private data producers have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Niels. Yes, I think as an official statistician, we need to explore this use of aggregate data much more. I fully agree with you. Miss Wan from China, would you like to add some perspective to these questions or any others?
在我刚才在我的介绍中，其实已经提到了， 中国是非常重视这个国际官方合作的。
In my previous talk, I've already mentioned that China really values international cooperation.
我们国内是从2012年开始了，就是在大数据的应用方面的这个研究。
Domestically, China has started the big data application research as early as 2012.
我们在这个与这个在制定了我们自己的大数据的这个整体的工作目标的同时，其实我们也和国外的很多的这个官方统计机构开展了很多形式的这个合作。
We have, on the one hand, we have made our own working objectives, but at the same time, we have also been cooperating with a lot of official organizations all over the world.
我们有很多的时候是以研讨会的方式和那个双方的这个机构做现场的这个交流。
A lot of it takes form as a seminar, a workshop, or perhaps the exchange between different organizations in person.
在这些方式过程中，我们也吸取了很多其他的官方统计机构的一些好的经验和做法。
In this process, we have also learned a lot from the experience of other statistical organizations.
2017年这个联合国全球平台 UNGP 建立以后呢，我们其实也是在上面也去了解了很多，比如说它有一个是个人隐私数据的保护的一个方案，还有就是那个叫移动手机的那个方案，其实我们也都在里头有很多值得我们学习的地方。
In 2017, we have also been looking at the UNGP global platform. A lot of plans in there. We have also been involved in a lot of activities mentioned previously, such as the privacy protection plan, and also as well as the plan that has to do with mobile data.
我觉得这个关于与他人如何分享这个经验呢，就刚才提到了，但是我觉得这个目前我感觉这个联合国全球平台加上以及这4个区域中心会成为一个分享大数据经验非常好的一个工作平台。
As for sharing our own big data experiences with others, we feel that the global platform is a great way of sharing big data experiences at the moment.
它应该说有很多的手段可以涵盖了我们以前的很多的方式，包括培训、交流、技术交流，还有就是说所有的知识的共享，以及可信知识方法和数据的这个共享等等这些方面，都会起到一个非常好的一个大数据经验的这个分享。
The global platform has enabled a lot of different methods that we have used previously, such as the online trainings and the technological exchanges, the knowledge and big data experiences.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I have for now, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sheshe. Now we'll move to Pak Saad from Indonesia. Would you like to share your perspectives on this couple of questions and your journey? Ms. Pak Saad, we can't hear you. Are you on mute still?
Can you hear?
Yes, we can hear. Thank you. Yeah.
In Indonesia, we have a big data community, and we have a series of meetings with the event we call Big Data Meetup. In this Big Data Meetup event, we share each other about what have been done in big data project or activities. Resource persons are also invited to give capacity building on big data. And we in BPS, in collaboration with the Institute of Statistics and also other institutions, have been exploring the use of big data by learning what have been done by other countries or researchers in big data utilization. And then we try to adopt the concept or the issues to be implemented in the research. At regional level, especially among ASEAN countries, we have initiated big data development, and BPS Indonesia together with Statistic Malaysia was appointed to lead the development of big data in ASEAN. At the end of this year, we have a plan to conduct capacity building by giving an example of big data use, starting with a simple case. I think this is a good one. And with regard to the COVID-19, although big data research have been started since a few years ago, the presence of COVID pandemic has strengthened our effort in BPS in big data use and tried to do more intensive research on big data because conventional survey cannot be conducted optimally, or even it's difficult to do in the pandemic era. Using big data for official research actually is a long journey. It's really depend on a number of factors such as data access, type of big data source, technology, human resources, and other factors. For example, in Statistic Indonesia, when we would like to use MPD as one of data source for international tourism statistics, it took around 3 to 4 years in order to have good quality data with firm methodology and supported with quality assurance. Other data quality characteristics should also be taken into consideration before deciding certain source of big data to be used as official statistic. This my response to the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think that's a very good response you've given there, that it's a journey. It's not an immediate solution. It's having close look at the quality of what's coming through, engaging with your users, getting access to the data, trialing and testing methods before using big data in the official production of statistics. We've had a question in the chat box about what's the biggest challenge to quality assuring big data, and I wonder if, I know we have several questions on the screen, but this quality assurance question is a bit of a thread for several of the questions. I'm wondering whether, while we have you, Mr. Parkside, whether you have any comments on the quality assurance of big data.
Yeah, I'll try to respond that about the quality assurance for big data. Actually, we have to think about some aspect of the quality, and in measuring the quality of big data, maybe a bit different in if we talking about the quality dimension in that conventional statistics. We need to think about the environment system, institutional environment, and also the input quality. For example, if we look at for example, in MPD data source, MPD as a big data source, we have to look at the raw data that we gather from the source, whether the raw data inputs already already clearly pass the quality assurance, and also in the processing. Also, we need to think about that in terms of the methodology, the algorithm. We should be transparent there. Maybe someone else can replicate that one. And also in terms of output, we need to think about the coherency or the consistency of the data source or the output. I mean, when we produce a statistic from big data, we have to make sure that the method to produce is consistent over time, and we can compare the result over time also. This one aspect I think that we need to think about the quality. I think that at the moment for my response.
Okay, wonderful. So yes, definitely comparison of time series is particularly important, and checking the inputs. Niels, do you want to add anything on this point from Denmark's experience?
Well, then it should be that I think we have maybe in some ways to think or maybe even rethink some of the quality criteria that we have from the traditional data sources. When we are using surveys to do statistics, it's about coverage. It's very much about coverage. That issue is quite different in relation to big data. In many cases, they will actually cover like everything because it's not a sample. It's the full count of activities. Just like at some point, very many years ago, somebody actually came together and formulated the kind of gold standard of good quality of survey-based data collections. I think we need to have somebody, based on the experience that we already have, to start thinking about what should be the formulation of the standard of good quality for statistics based on other data sources than surveys. There, I think there's a task for the whole community of official statistics. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Niels. And Ms. Wang, do you have any comment on this issue of quality assurance and big data?
其实这个刚才那位印度尼西亚的同事也已经说到了很多这方面的这个内容，然后我倒觉得这个先说一下这句。
My Indonesian colleague has already covered a lot in this aspect, I feel like.
但是我觉得未来我们要探讨的是这个在大数据的这个环境下，如何来控制官方统计的这个数据质量。 它可能给我们提出来了更多的挑战。
But in the future, I feel that we will have to consider the problem with the backdrop of the big data in the 21st century, and it may present us with a lot more challenges.
就是如何把这个各种就多元，就它有各种不同来源的数据。 整合成可以有官方统计来使用的这个过程，可能是在这个数据质量过程中是非常重要的一个环节。
How we might use data sources from various sources and from all kinds of sources, and then how we can collect all those data and make them into something that can be used for the official statistics is something to consider.
而在其他的环节，其实跟我们原来的这个数据质量的控制是有很多相似性的，只是在这个采集和治理的这个过程中是有更多的不同点。
In the other processes, there are a lot of similarities in the big data, the use of big data, as in our traditional way of performing statistics. It is specifically I feel that in the collection of data and then initial processes that they differ.
特别是在于这个我们这个数据来源是太多样性了，每一个来源都会有它的不同特点，可能我们需要根据不同的数据来源，对于我们的数据质量的控制方法都要有所不同。
especially in the data sources. The fact that they're so diverse means that we might need to use different methods and different quality control for each different data source.
首先我觉得这个我们统计人员需要更多的去了解各个数据来源它生成的这一个过程，然后去这个过程中能提取出符合我们官方统计需要的数据，这可能是能够就这个过程做得越好，那对于我们的数据的质量的控制就会越好。
As statistical personnel, I feel that it's important for us to understand the generating process of each data source more carefully. And I feel that the better we can understand this process, the better we'll be able to control and assure the quality of these data sources.
具体的很多东西我们也是在研究过程中，这个也是在研究和探索过程中。
And about the more specific aspects, we're also in the process of experimenting and researching. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Sheshe. So we've now moved on to this question of COVID-19 as where it's very important to all of us. The national statistics officers are having to adapt your operations, and I know many of you are making use of new data sources, including big data. And we saw from Indonesia the use of the Google Mobility Index. We heard from China there about the e-commerce data, and I know that many statistical officers online are also making use of big data for official statistics. Would any of our panelists, maybe again I'll ask you first, Niels, and then move to Indonesia. Has COVID-19 changed the way you use, or in particular, has it changed the way you're thinking about using big data for official statistics?
I think it have, and they're kind of real proof of that. That's a lot. That's been a kind of from Eurostat in Europe. That's been trying to get an overview of what different statistical agencies has done in relation to COVID-19. And there are two things. One thing is that it seems that it's been more easy to get access to some of the data sources that were more difficult before because of the COVID-19 situation. In order to monitor, for instance, the economic development, close to real-time data from smart meters, for instance, on electricity consumption, has been used by a number of countries, including my own. And the access to mobile phone data to do also kind of very focused mobility studies on the mobility and gathering of crowds of people has also been given access to that. So I think the COVID-19 situation in this area, as in a number of others, has been kind of in experimentarium to try out new data sources, and also an experiment and a challenge taken on by the NSOs to show that there's no surprise to any of us, they are actually very capable of handling also new challenges and come up with in a very short period of time with new data sources that are very relevant for the things that the decision makers, politicians and others are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Niels. And Mr. Paksayed from Indonesia, has COVID changed the way you use or you think to use big data?
Thank you. Yeah, actually, we have already experienced difficult situation in data collection during the COVID-19 in some statistical activities in BPS, and some surveys even not optimally conducted to provide official statistics. And big data, I think, offer a big opportunity for us, for BPS, in providing statistic or new information to support official statistics during the pandemic. And BPS also conducted online survey actually to get other information or on business or on household. characteristic or causal information. But big data actually is more promising actually for BPS, because we can really explore from many sources there available in big data. But of course we have a big challenge there, because it needs technology and also the capacity of human resource also needed. And we are preparing for all this, including the infrastructure of the technology to I mean, because it's big data need big capacity for data storage, and we are preparing for not only the human resource but also the infrastructure. But we are working on this in very serious, especially because during the pandemic, many surveys cannot be conducted remotely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for mentioning there the needing to adapt your technologies as well. It's a good point. Miss Wang, what do you think? Has COVID-19 changed the way China or your institutions using or thinking to use big data?
应该说这个疫情期间的这个就是大数据的使用，其实更给统计工作所面临的机遇是。 相当于是把这个面临的机遇体现得更淋漓尽致了，就那个意思。
Okay, so during the COVID-19, the use of big data has provided more opportunities than before.
应该说，只要是我们能够有足够多的数据，就会可以无限的去创新我们官方统计的这个统计方法。
As long as we have enough data, there will be more and more ways that we can innovate in the methods that we do statistics.
而新冠期间呢，也是改变了人们很多生活方式。那网上生活的这个方式，网上生活采购，就以及它的那个消费，等等，这个比例会越来越高了。这也是给我们这个官方统计工作也带来了更多的这个数据，就是更多。 比例的这种数据源。
The lifestyle changes during the period of COVID-19. There's a trend that there's more and more online shopping and online consumption, and as a result, it has provided more data sources for our official statistics.
而且在这个疫情期间呢，其实我们统计的方法也有一定的这个。 倒不是方法，就统计的手段，就是移动采集的这个范围变得越来越广泛了。就大家更习惯于在手机上去报送一些数据，比如说这个我们的住户调查的数据。
During COVID-19, our methodology of conducting conducting survey has also broadened. There's more and more mobile collection of data. Yeah.
所以最后来说呢，其实我更觉得就是说，这增加了官方统计能够迫切的获得更迫切的以合法的手段获得更多的这个数据源的这么一个就是迫切性吧，就那意思。
And this has in terms also increased the need for a legal way of obtaining official statistical data.
如何保证官方统计能够获取和使用这些数据，其实是我们这个目前需要尽快需要思考和能够尽快取得一些成果一些这个进展，就是那个确切的进展，就是说能够迈出这第一步的这么一个这个迫切性。
How we can ensure that we can legally obtain these sort of data for official uses is something that we need to move forward quite urgently.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this draws us to a close of our Asia Pacific Statistics Cafe today, the prospect of big data for official statistics. And I'd like to, first of all, thank all of our panelists for your wonderful presentations and excellent responses to the questions. I'd also like to thank all of the people who provided questions in the chat box. We've tried to answer all of them, if not directly, indirectly, and we've shared quite a number of links to papers that have been prepared for a recent event held here in Asia Pacific called the Asia Pacific Statistics Week. We've shared papers on the use of using big data to improve sampling frames, using big data to improve metropolitan delineation, a comparison of the quality of administrative data and census data. So some of the questions that we've had in the box, we've tried to share links to the use of scanner data for prices, and as many countries examples as we had. In summary, I'd like to highlight just three points. The first one is that there is a lot of information available for you to access. We have the Global Working Group on Big Data for Official Statistics. Its task teams are producing materials like training materials. The task teams are sharing examples on how to use big data, and the Global Working Group has also established the global platform, and and I've shared with you the marketplace link, but we now have hubs, regional hubs, including the one that's been presented today by Ms. Wang from China. These hubs of the global platform providing you access to data, to methods, to technologies, so that you too can try and use and experiment with the use of big data, and hopefully, as our colleagues in both China and Indonesia have just shared, use it in the official production of statistics. The second takeaway is you do need a legal basis to be able to do this. And it's highlighted as a big challenge by all three of our speakers. But we've seen an example here from Indonesia who have amended or changed or improved their legislation as recently as last year to have now a regulation that gives them a legal basis for accessing scientific and other forms of data. So I think this is a good practice that we can learn from Indonesia. And as Ms. Wang just said, this is a real priority, an important, urgent priority to make sure that we've got a legal basis for accessing this data so that we can have sustained access, so that sustainability of the data for our official statistics is there. The third area is a comment that came from one of our guests there, Ms. Wu Wing Lin. My apologies if I haven't pronounced it correctly, but there's a real importance to adapt our methods, our techniques, and our technologies to make use of big data. Big data is just another, if you think of it as just another data source, but you have to adapt your existing methodologies. So at the moment we have measures for how to understand the quality of survey data, such as a coverage rate or a response rate. So you have to think, what does that mean for big data? What's your quality measure for big data? You have to adapt your confidentiality methods for big data. We heard the use of differential privacy and other different confidentiality techniques. You have to change the way you do editing. And in the case of Indonesia, where we've accessed aggregate data, you need to produce editing techniques that edit aggregate data rather than microdata. They're just three different techniques, and so confidentiality, edits, accuracy measures. But whereas all three speakers spoke, you need to just work through some examples, whether it's mobile phone data, scanner data, the satellite data, and adapt your methods, adapt your existing methods and techniques and technologies for this new data source. And then finally, I really liked the responses on COVID-19 has provided more opportunities for all of us in the official statistics world. It's provided opportunities for access to big data. It's provided opportunities to enable experimentation and innovation. And it's enabled access to richer big data sources like online data, mobile phone data. So it's broadened the big data source for use in official statistics. So ladies and gentlemen, and please, I really do wish to, on all your behalf, thanks to Mr. Niels Ploe, who's unfortunately had to leave us, to Pak Al-Assad from Indonesia, and Ms. Wenna Wang from NBS China. Thank you very much for sharing with us today your experience. And thank you to all of our guests for being with us today. It's been a real pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.